Have you ever maybe sent on a message from someone or shared a social media post that maybe you've thought may not have been completely true?
Well, I mean, guilty as charged probably back in the days when, when Orkut and Facebook were new, probably at that point in time, I would have written something.
I'm sure I've done it as well, somewhere along the line.
But then over the period of time, once you get educated about it and you realize the power of the media that you are sitting on, you realize that, no, you should weigh in every single word, every single picture that you're posting on social media.
Well, it's going to become quite serious pending certain content. There's a new law that's come in that 7 types of online content will be banned in the UAE. Publishing news, visual materials or rumours online with the intention of ridiculing or harming the reputation, prestige or status of the country will now be determined illegal. To get more details on this change in law, we are joined by the lawyer who is an expert in arbitration and commercial disputes. Hari Wadhwana is joining us on the phone. Thank you very much for joining us here on Talk 100.3.
Hi, Neil and Kitch. How are you guys doing? Thank you for having me up.
No, we appreciate your time this afternoon. Looking at this change in legislation, there are 7 types of online content. Going through them, there's criticising or attacking the president of the UAE or the rulers of the Emirates, causing harm to the economic system by spreading rumours, posting opinions that violate or insult minors, distorting discussions, deliberately spreading false news, and criticising the actions of a public official. That's kind of broadly what they are. Does this surprise you? How long do you think this has been in the planning before this law has now been put into action?
These laws and regulations that we see, which are going to be introduced, have always been around in some form or another. For example, if you pick up and say defamation, so even if you share something about a third person, which may be true but is harmful to his or her reputation, that would be criminally actionable. These 7 categories that you set out basically just focuses more on these issues, but these have always been around. And anytime anyone is using social media or sharing a message or forwarding a message, needs to be mindful of these. Because as Neil was mentioning, in this day and age, you're very eager on just sharing news and, sharing information without verifying whether it's true or whether it's untrue. So you just have to be a bit mindful before sharing anything, ensuring that doesn't harm anyone's reputation. That's the umbrella protection that one needs to keep in mind.
Hari, whenever we see a lot of content that goes up, and I'm sure that the platforms themselves try and do some amount of cleansing, but how does one understand or probably communicate to the people at large that, listen, don't just press the share button without verifying the facts?
Well, a lot of social media houses are doing a good job in terms of filtering out false content, where you will see a notification that by a fact checker that this may be false. Individuals should be urged to, go on newspaper, see what's published over there, or listen to credible radio channels such as yourself for credible information, and then only share it with their fellow members or family members. Otherwise, a lot of caution should be adopted because, as you rightly mentioned, a lot of miscommunication is floating around the internet, and you cannot stop that, but you can control what you share so that it doesn't amplify further.
Now, there is one part where obviously we talk about, passing on false information about the rules and the regulations and the official statuses, defaming the country, defaming the rulers, but while that is obviously of critical, it's extremely critical to ensure that something like this doesn't happen. But on the other hand, there is enough and more information which is not true, but just floats around, and people who are sitting in the WhatsApp university will keep forwarding it further and further. Like I was watching a video right now, and I say this because I was just watching it like 5 minutes back, where these 2 guys who are fitness influencers or whatever are saying that why idli is bad without having any back check or any references or any information, scientific information to prove it. I hope at some point in time that kind of content also comes under jurisdiction and say, listen, if you do that, we'll put you into idli jail.
That would be interesting to see. I want to see how that pans out. But this law basically puts a stop at it. So if an individual creates a video and it only reaches multiple people if someone shares it, right, or
Right.
likes it or subscribes it. So this law basically focuses on that, so that people are deterred from sharing it further, so to put a stop to it and basically not spread these kind of information. And the authorities have the right to suo motu, take action, which is you don't need to go to a police station to formally lodge a complaint against someone following misinformation. The authorities are very prompt, especially in this jurisdiction, to take matters up even without anyone complaining. And this has happened in the past many times, and I'm sure you'll find a lot of references to this online there.
I certainly commend the UAE and the government for putting in this. I think it's quite advanced. But do we know what will happen if, essentially, is the truth eligible to be a defence? Because if I'm suddenly put something out that's a rumour, what if it turns out eventually to be true?
Even if it's true, that's not a defense, because if that rumor can cause a potential unrest or could harm anyone's reputation, that's still not justified. So yes, in certain common law jurisdictions or any other civil law jurisdiction, if an information is true, that's justified a defense, but not in UAE, because the very fact that even if it's a true information, but it causes unrest or harms anyone's reputation, which they've taken time to build on, that's not the right way to go about with it. You can have unilateral proceedings against them. So you can file a civil case against them if they have caused any damage to you or they've not provided proper services to you. But that doesn't justify one's action of just going online and mumbling that, okay, if this person has done X, Y, Z to me, because that can cause an unrest. So that's what the law deters and wishes to do, that so that there's harmony in this jurisdiction and there are not many people fighting, because the world has many fighters, right?
But then, but Hari, at a certain point in time, we have all done that. But this might just now scare me from putting something up because, say, a brand has given me a product which is faulty, and the brand has now said, "Listen, no, we are not going to take it back. It's your job to take care of it and whatever." Till a few years back, I would put it up on Twitter and say, "Hey, the brand is not handling it well, and this is what has happened, and this is what it is." The brand then would immediately get in touch with me and sort things out. Now I'm a little scared. If I put up that, the brand would probably just go and say, "Hey, this is slander and this is libel," and probably I would be and I could be penalized for that.
Yeah, well, that basically motivates you to do more of research on a product or a brand before endorsing it. So that just adds an additional protection of due diligence on your end. And because you're licensed as an influencer, because I hope you'll be aware that any influencing activities that influencers take up, which is as small as putting up an ad for any marketing or economic reasons, even that needs to be licensed.
Right.
So the fact that the government is giving you a license to do an activity, you need to take that level of due diligence on your end to ensure that the brand actually promotes what it is asserting to promote.
No, but then as a common man, I'm not talking about as an influencer, as a common man, right, who probably is listening to us right now and probably has had a bad experience with a certain brand. You could generally go up on Twitter and say bad things or rant about the brand and the experience that you've had. And more often than not, to safeguard their own interests, the brand would immediately get back to you and sort things out for you. But now if you try and do that, under the purview of this new law, are you trying to defame the brand by putting, a bad statement up or a wrong statement up on social media?
Yeah, well, in that case, I think it's always a constructive criticism which can help you. Yeah. So instead of rambling on Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or on Google for that matter, you can directly approach the brand and say what grievance you've had, and I'm sure the brand will come to its rescue. And even if that does not work, you can always approach the consumer, you can always file a consumer complaint with the economic department. So there are avenues that the law provides you, and they're in fact going to be much helpful rather than going on Twitter and talking about it, because it may or may not help, but it may surely affect you. and affects the brand as well, because it can go both ways. Maybe what you're ranting is not true, in which case the brand has an entitled to file a claim against you.
Yeah,
So,
anyone that owns a restaurant knows that they'd rather you come back to them directly and say, my service was bad, and they'll give you a free meal, rather than you go off and tell 25 people how bad the service was.
Which is true.
Yeah.
I mean, in Gujarati, we normally say ke saru lage to saune ko, na saru lage to humne ko. As in, like, if you like it, go and tell it to the world. But if you don't like it, come and tell us first. But Hari, this is a brand versus a common man problem that we spoke about. How about a troll versus a celebrity or a semi-celebrity or a radio presenter? Right? I mean, if I post something and just a random faceless troll comes in on my Instagram and starts ranting about me or just abuses or puts negative comments constantly, is there a way to stop them or just block them?
In theory, the easier option for you would be to block them,
Okay.
but legal option would be to file a report with the police. So the police has an A-crime division where they can track who the user individual is, assuming he or she is from UAE, and they can track down the individual, and there can be a police complaint against them. And this has happened, by the way, where recently we was approached by a client where she had posted a comment
Okay.
on an Instagram post, and the post wasn't under her banner. It was just she just posted on something against an individual,
Okay.
and the police called her up and said that you've done this and it's caused disrepute to this individual. So we're going to take this up. So yeah,
Wow.
investigation is ongoing. So the authorities are prompt, and it's all about how you use your legal options, whether you choose to block it and move on, or whether you want to fight it out because it's well within your rights.
Blocking's a good tool. I think it's underutilised when it comes to social media. Hari Wadhwana, the arbitration and commercial disputes lawyer, we thank you for your time and sharing your knowledge and experience with us.